Good evening, everyone doing today. God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Rachel Spencer. I'm here to get your word on today. Um, the title gonna be Jacob children with Leah. Gonna come from chapter 30, 29. So yesterday we left off at Jacob married. Wind up marrying Lee and Rachel. You know, and he was deceived by his uncle. But we know that Lee played a big part of the deceit. You know, um, he had to work a total of 14 years to get Rachel. So today's lesson is when God saw that Lee was not being loved by Jacob. You know, God is a passionate God. And He opened up her womb for her to have children. You know, but we all know, no matter how many children you have, that's still not gonna make a man love you. He still loved Rachel. You know, so um, So this passage is going to be coming from Genesis chapter 29, 31 to 35. So Jacob's children. Um, so now, um, Jacob, children, the offspring of Jacob, the sons, became the tribes of Israel. All Jacob would have so many children just by itself. You know, Rachel couldn't have none at the beginning. God had to close her up, so Leah can have the children, so Jacob can love her. So that's why, after with God plan, that's why he told Jacob children, you go and multiply. He already had so many kids. So Jacob children, the offspring of Jacob's sons became the tribes of Israel, following when the Israelite conquered and settled in the land of Israel. Down the line when we keep doing this practice, we're doing Bible study. Jacob's name will be changed to Israel. That's why his offspring gonna be the Israelite. So now Jacob are marrying Leah, you know, and Rachel, but Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah. So the Lord saw that Leah was not being loved. So he enabled her to conceive, but Rachel remained childless. You know, trying to give Jacob time to see if because a lot of time, some cases the men might fall in love with the woman because of the kids. In some cases they won't. So Leah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Reuben. So it is because the Lord has seen my misery. Surely my husband will love me now. So she having his kids and thinking Jacob gonna love her because she having it. She gonna keep on having more and more and more, and he's still gonna love Rachel. So now Lee think having children, he would love her, but no, you can have 20 children. If a man don't love you at the beginning, 9 out of 10, he ain't gonna marry you on then, love you then. So every time she had one, she said, "Well, I think he gonna love me now." So Leah will continue on having children, and Jacob will always love Rachel. She conceived again, and gave birth to a son, and the Lord heard that she's not being loved. He's still not loved. This is Simon. So they named that son Simon. So Leah conceived the third time. Saying her husband will become attached to her. And name that child Leah. So she conceived the fourth child and named him Julia. And then she stopped having children. She stopped for a while. So she done had them 4 children. She saw that Jacob still didn't love her. Every time she had one, I know he gonna love me now. I know he gonna be attached to me. He still was attached and still loving Rachel. So Genesis 30, this 30 to just go on and on. I had to attach it with it. So Genesis 30, chapter 1 to 24. So now Rachel saw that she was not bearing Jacob any children, and she became jealous of her sister. Remember, they're sisters now. She had 4 kids already, and so she done stopped. To now, Rachel cannot have children. So God closed her up, because she being loved, and God wanted give Jacob some time to love Leah. You know, so she said to Jacob, "Give me children or I die." No, no. So now she being sentimental now. She telling Jacob, "Give me some children or I die." She being jealous of her sister because the sister already had 4 kids. For Jacob. So Jacob become angry with her because she's talking foolish. You know, and say, "I am in the place of God." So Jacob telling her, "I am in the place of God." It's just a matter of time that God will allow you to have children. You know, so who has kept you from having children? That's what Jacob telling her. Be in the place of God. So if you're not having children, who do you think is having you not to have children? God. He did it for a reason. So he said, "Here are my servants." So she doing another number that Sarah did, Abraham wife. She taking matters in her own hands. After Jacob had talked to her, ain't nothing went through her, nothing registered with her. So she remember when Lamech had um sent him off. Lamech get daddy. Lamech get Rachel a servant. He get Leah a servant to take care of them. They was rich. To take care of them, take care of their needs or whatever. So now she's saying, "Here are my servants." She said, "Sleep with her so that so she can bear us children for me, and I too can build a family through her." The same thing all seven did. But that when you do things on your own, it causes chaos. It's not gonna work out very well at the end. So now this is the same thing Sarah did, took matters in her own hands. And now we see that Rachel trying to do the same thing. So now she's telling her husband to sleep with her servants. You know, Jacob slept with her, and she had became pregnant and brought him a son. She named him Dan. And she said God had listened to my plea and given, me a son. So she's thinking by the idea that she came up with, she's figured that came from God. She said God had listened to her and allowed her to have this son. So Rachel have a son through her servants. So Rachel servant conceived again. You know, so just a second. Remember, Leah already have 4. Leah already have 4. So she's trying to catch up with Leah. So just a second child. She give Jacob. She give Jacob the second child. And she said she had great struggle. With her sister, and now she feel like she won over her. So this is a game to her. This is a game to her. Leah already have 4. She said her sister caused her struggle because she done had 4 kids already, and she didn't have none. So now she have 2. Naphtali is the name that she gave the second son. Now Leah, remember Leah had stopped having children after the 4th one. Now she see that she see Rachel taking her servant to sleep with Jacob and making babies. So now, Leah hadn't stopped having her children, so now she about to take her servant to sleep with Jacob to start having more kids for her. So her servant and give her to Jacob as a wife, and she here, and and her son, she had born a son, and she named the son Gabe, and the servant gave Jacob a second son. Now this is Leah doing. She see that Rachel had her servant to do this. Now she got her servant. Now she already had 4, and now the servant have these 2. Ashnet, that's the second child of the servant for Leah. So now these sisters act like they're running a race. Leah stopped having children, but had her servants to have children, and the servant had 2, and she already had 4. So this 6 total that she had of children. So now these 2 sisters have to take turns sleeping with Jacob, and Rachel said very well. See, Leah asked Rachel, so she had a servant to have these last 2 children. So now she wants to sleep with Jacob, so that's why she didn't went through Jacob to have it. She went through her servant. And because Rachel got jealous, and I guess she holding Jacob real tight, so she had to ask Rachel, "It's my turn, to sleep with Jacob." She said, "Very well." So, that's just heartache for you that two sisters married to the same person. So Leah meet with Jacob in the field, and she asked him to sleep with him. Now that's her husband, but she got to ask because she sleep with him because the main wife is Rachel. So God listened to Leah. God listened to Leah again. And she become pregnant, and she brought another child. So this is the fifth one of her children, plus the two that she had for the servant. So now Leah have five children of her own with Jacob. Ashenel, Leah conceived again. So that means she have six. Six of her own plus the seven. So that's eight children. So now Leah again, the sixth son named Zebulun. So now Leah again the seventh child. So she has seven children of her own. But this seventh child is a girl. It's a daughter. So she has six boys of her own, and she have one daughter. She have one girl. So now Leah have six children of her own and one daughter. So now Leah said, Leah said, this time my husband will treat me with honor. And that's up. You know, uh, you got to go through so much for someone to treat you like honor and treat you with respect. And I'm here to tell anyone, if no man don't honor you, no man don't respect you, if no man don't love you, you move on. Don't go through all these procedures having all these children for love. If you don't receive that at the beginning, move on. Move on to the next one. Because she going through all this, and my heart go out to her. She said, surely he should treat me with honor. Every woman should be treated with honor and respect. When you in a relationship. Do not go through all these procedures to be honored, to be respected, and to be loved. If you don't get these three things, I advise you to move on. You know, this woman here, my heart go out to her. She's done all this stuff for Jacob to notice her, to honor her, to love her. And all that she did, he still loved Rachel. So Jacob still loved Rachel. So now God remember Rachel. Now, remember, she never had no children on her own. The children that she have is from her servants. Now, this child that she gonna have gonna be a special child. This child gonna be the one that gonna get God plan started. This child that God gonna put a gift in this child to get his plan started. So that's why, God gonna put this special child in her. Because God see that she being loved, but she being for some reason, when a woman don't have a child, they feel not complete. She feel incomplete without having her own children. And God remember, she prayed, and God remember her, and God gonna put a special child in Rachel. You didn't have nothing. You got on your servant. You have children from your servant, but now God about to give you your own child, put that special child in you that gonna start his plan, gonna get his plan started. Even though he gonna fall in the pit, sometimes you go through all of the struggles and pit and everything you got to go through sometimes, but always to land in a place where God wants you to be. This gonna be a special child. This child here gonna be hated. And sometimes you will be hated, when God gives you special gifts. And when you're special to God, when you're chosen, when you got God by your side, you're going to be hated. Jacob going to be hated, not by his enemy. He's going to be hated by his own brothers. So now, she about to have her own child. Going to be well worth it. Now he listened. God listened to her and enabled her to conceive. She become pregnant. You know, this gonna be her first child of her own. She become pregnant and give birth to a son. You know, and she said God had taken away her disgrace. You know, because sometimes when a woman don't have a child, they feel incomplete and they feel disgraced. You know, they feel like they're not a woman enough because they didn't have a child. You know, so God, she didn't plead to God, and God heard her cry. God heard that she feel like she incomplete. She feel like she disgraced from not having her own flesh and blood. You know, so now she named this child Joseph. You know, Joseph. He said, may the Lord add to me another child. And that's going to be the next package. She will have another child. You know, she will have another child. And her only two children of her own that she going to have. You know, Joseph and Benjamin. You know, so we see, and these last two children here from Rachel going to be so special to Jacob. You know, he loved all the rest of them kids, but they're not for the woman that he really loved. You know, he gonna hold on to these two so tight, to some kind of way. Joseph will slip through his fingers. You know, so now we see both sisters are jealous of one another. You know, so we have both sisters jealous of one another. You know, we have one sister, Lee, the oldest sister. You know, she not being loved by the man that she loved. You know, uh, but she able to give Jacob so many children. You know, then on the other hand, you got Rachel is being loved, being pampered, being honored by Jacob. You know, but she could not conceive no children. You know, so they both have something. They jealous of one another. You know, Sarah jealous. I mean, Rachel is jealous because she couldn't have no children. Lee jealous because Jacob loved Rachel and not her. So they have both issues why they're jealous of one another. Now Lee jealous, you know, so Rachel is jealous. Lee is able to have children, and when she saw that she couldn't have no children, then give her servant to Jacob. When Rachel could, when Rachel saw that Lee was having children back to back, and she still couldn't have none, she just threw her servant on Jacob. You know, you have sex with her, you know, so I could build a family, you know, through her children. You know, so when Lee saw that Rachel was getting her servants, you know, to have children, you know, Lee had stopped. Remember, she stopped at 4 children, you know, but then she sent her servant to sleep with Jacob and had 2 children from the servants. You know, so now Jacob have children over. Jacob have children overflowing. That's why at the end, also at the end, like getting God's plan started, Jacob already gonna have so many kids. You know, so when God said go multiply, he already has so many. They multiply as a great nation. You know, so Lee had stopped at 4. You know, but she saw that Rachel was sending her servant to Jacob having children. So she did the same thing. Took her servant and said, Jacob sleep with her and they had kids. So now Jacob had children overflowing, and Jacob's children will be the Israelite. You know, so now we see that Jacob did not. Now we see that he been deceived to marry Leah. No, he had served. He had he had told Laman, his uncle, that I will work for you 7 years to marry Rachel. But he been deceived. So after the wedding, he done slept with a woman that he thought was Rachel, and when morning came, see that's what I'm saying. When morning come, you know, the mask come up. You know, the mask come up. You know, and that's when he saw that there was not Rachel, that was Leah. You know, he was very disturbed. You know, but at the time he being disturbed, at the time he being angry, he did not toss Leah on the side. He held on to Leah. So something was special about that. You know, because anyone else would get mad and be deceived that they done married someone that's not really with the woman that they want to marry. He would have said, get out of my way. Get out of my face. He didn't do nothing. Jacob was a nice, caring person. He did not dismiss her. You know, he still held on to Leah, but kept her on the sideline. Kept her on the sideline. You know, and then He gonna tell his uncle, okay, let me work another 7 years. So all told he had to work 14 years to marry Rachel until he finally got Rachel. Now I don't know the I understand it was being deceitful, and Lee played a big part in that being deceitful of why Jacob he could not open his heart up to Lee, because he felt like, you know, she played a big part in her daddy deceiving him. So you never know if they play a big part of why Jacob could not open his heart up to her to marry her. I mean, to say to love her. So we don't know. I had to do research in it because he refused to love her after all the children she had. So you can't really deceive no one and expect for them to love you. You can't be deceitful. She was being deceitful. She played a big part in her daddy plot. Would cause Jacob would not open up his heart up to marry her. I mean, to say to love her. You, you know, he could not love her no matter how many kids she had. He could not love her. We don't know if he still had that in his mind that she played a big part in it. So if you really love someone, just go out to all women, to all men. Don't be deceitful. Don't be deceitful and then expect for that person to love you. You have to be honest at the beginning of the relationship. And that was a relationship that wasn't even supposed to take place because he worked so hard for to get the woman that he wanted and just got deceitful at the first and had to work another 7 years to get the woman that he really wanted. So Rachel's Rachel stated Rachel stated Rachel stayed out with her servants, but then God remembered. God remembered her and opened her womb. You know. So Rachel started out with no children at all. She could not have no children. So she started throwing her servant on Jacob and she had children. And then she pleaded to God and God remembered her prayers. God opened her womb and she had this special child, Joseph. We all know how special Joseph was. God God had put a gift in Joseph, because Jacob had got old at that point, you know. So God had a plan. Okay, you want a child? Okay, I'm gonna put my plan of child inside of you, you know, to get my plan started. So God give Joseph that gift and give him that gift for a reason. 'Cause that's the way that God was communicating with Joseph, this special child communicating with him, giving him this dream. He was saying this dream that, but he didn't know. He was young. He didn't know what this dream meant. He was just so excited that he had this gift, and he tried to tell his brothers about the gift. You know, and so that was everything he was telling his brother down the line. We were getting to that passage too. You know, everything he was telling his brother all came to pass. You know, all came to pass. I'm just so excited doing all this Bible study. These stories. We gonna know all the details and everything at the end of this Bible. You know, um, so that's all the stories I have with you for you. That Jacob children. He got so many children. You know, um, so many children. So that's why they're gonna be called the Israelites. You know, his children will be the nation. They're going to be so greatly large as a nation. So that's all I have for you on today. I see y'all on the next video. Have a blessing. Have a safe